All right, got my tick here. Brie Larson just gave Hollywood a reality check. Video games didn't just catch up to movies, they passed them. Bigger audience, deeper stories, and way more immersion. At this point, cinema isn't leading culture anymore, it's studying it. Yes, I feel like, we've been a big podcast talking about movie adaptations,
Mhm.
and you know, lo and behold, the movies have it all laid out for them based off of the video game.
Yeah.
Like they literally just have to kind of create some dialogue amongst the characters, cast it, put it on the big screen, and bada boom, bada bing. It's unoriginal content at that point, but it's fun watching video games become movies. But the biggest thing is having, just being involved in the game, playing your way through it.
Mhm.
You can choose obviously multiple outcomes in these games, role-playing games, whatever it might be. And I don't know if you've seen it before. I've seen streamers like full on crying because of storylines in video
Mhm.
games. And people just get, like the take says, very immersed in this. Now I do have to do a little bit of catching up with what Brie Larson says, but as far as it goes, it's you know, the movies are having to catch up with a lot of this stuff because again, the plot's already there, it's made for them. The
Mhm.
lack of creativity is something that we talked about in the past, John, where
Yeah.
are they running out of topics? Are they running out of ideas? What else can they get? I will say though, this year's Oscars, the movies that were presented for the Oscars, they were all phenomenal films.
Mhm.
It was a great choice, but that's top echelon of movies. You can look at a
Yeah.
whole bunch of others disappointments, and it's like, meh,
Yeah.
what's great. But yeah, no, absolutely. I think that video games are setting the precedent for creativity and immersing an audience into something and kind of really engaging the viewer
Mhm.
in gaming cases, player.
Yeah. Yeah, I think gaming's done so much for so many years, but it's finally getting the recognition it probably needs for storytelling because some of the best storytelling is in video games, and that's why you also some of us replay and play the games over and over again because of the story, and especially those type of games that you can have multiple different endings based on your decisions. So like for me, Fallout, that's why I love that TV show because of playing it so much, having different endings, especially with the last Fallout 4, you know, picking this, clan to sort of join. And it sort of develops what the ending of the story is, and there's multiple endings in all of the Fallout series. So I think their storytelling is just top tier. That's never been recognized by the movie industry because they probably thought they were elite and video games weren't matching them. But I think Hollywood has noticed how dedicated people are to video games and how committed they are to these stories, to these games. Because what one example, Resident Evil, they made I want to say like 100 movies. First one was great.
Hmm.
All the ones after that were subpar, but they have such a following and such you could call it a cult following because it's Resident Evil that people would still go watch it in theaters. People would still stream it, and it was making money to the point where they're like, we're gonna continue pull making all these come out because every movie always had like little Easter eggs from the video game, and that's what we look for, you know. And Brie Larson, I think, brings this up because she's in this new Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I think the way it's looking right now will probably be one of the biggest movies so far of 2026. Um, Other than Project Hail Mary, if you haven't watched it, amazing movie. But Mario coming out on
Go ahead,
Wednesday,
heard.
it's going to be big. Brie Larson's a big gamer from what I've read. Rumor has it from some of the articles I've seen, she broke up with one of her boyfriends in the past because she was playing Super Mario Galaxy and he wanted her to get off. So she's a big advocate for the gaming community, which is awesome to see. But like even now, you've probably seen it. The little Easter egg, which I wish they would have probably not announced before the movie. But Fox, Star Fox coming out in it.
Yep,
So, like I say, those type of
awesome.
Easter eggs just makes us so excited because we know Star Fox, Super Mario. Are we going to see Kirby? Are we going to see Samus? Metroid? Are we going to see all these other characters? Zelda, Link. And sort of building this, Nintendo Galaxy and universe. Which, if this succeeds, their next movie succeeds, we'll take over Marvel. We'll be way bigger than Marvel.
For sure. No, absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much what they have in the making with that. That's a great point. Star Fox, tremendous game.
Yeah,
Every weekend. God, that game is so much
yeah,
fun. Absolutely loved it. N64. That's where it was at for a
yeah.
lot of those Nintendo Mario based games. Great times. And yeah, I did look up here briefly with Brie Larson and yeah, I mean she's 100% correct. It's the gaming community is massive. And I feel like the gaming community kind of has that relentless audience where like relentless in a good way where they have the passion that just doesn't go away. Like
Hmm.
it kind of it's like an encapsulation. It's like almost like a hobby where like you can expect a ton of loyalty to a certain series of a game, more so than we see with movies at times. You know,
Hmm.
I feel like sequels really have a difficult time succeeding,
Hmm.
depending on what it is. You know,
Yeah.
if it's a series of, you know, Harry Potter, obviously sequels will do great because it's a new book every time and, you know, kind of leads on with the story. But if you're kind of just like letting, I don't know, the movie production kind of create a sequel on its own, it's not always ending great. And
Yeah.
but if you leave it in the hands of people in the gaming community, I feel like it just remains incredibly popular. We saw it in Call of Duty countless times with
Hmm.
up until recent times, of course.
Yeah.
You know how great sequels were with that game.
Hmm.
And you can go on and name it Halo,
Yeah.
same thing. You know, it's outrageous the amount of people that still play you know, like freaking I'm massive brain fart right now. What's the shooter Fortnite? And
Fortnite.
I heard Brie Larson had her own skin in that, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken.
I think so.
So avid gamer, clearly. In order to even get your own skin, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you know, film needs to take notes
Yeah.
and kind of go from there developing it.
Yeah. Yeah, but and like I said, video games are where it is. Their storytelling, I think they have to start going outside of their tradition of storytelling, getting more original stories. And still adaptations I think are great because a lot of adaptations from like books, stories, movies, video games, they've always been great. Project Hail Mary, like the Plug, amazing movie based off of a book. Like I said, if you haven't watched it, I really recommend you watching it. This is, as of right now, my Sinners of this year because it's one that came out right after the Oscars. It's making waves, hitting a lot of milestones in IMAX and just what they're making worldwide. It gives me that Sinners vibe. And like I said, the cinematography and it's amazing. The score in it really is touching and just the story. Ryan Gosling, man, sexiest man alive. Very gotta gotta say it. That
Oh
guy
yeah.
could do anything and just makes a movie. Great.
Yep.
So
Yep.
but like I say, that's an adaptation. Some of Hollywood has to start taking risk and adapting other video games because there's so many great video games out there. You know, there's still Elder Scroll, which is like, medieval times, which I think if you adapt that into a TV show, just like Fallout, will be so successful because that has a big cult following. That movie is coming out in a few years. That one has a lot of hype for it because there's so many Zelda fans. It's so many Zelda games that I think a lot of us are going to go watch it because of that dedication we have to that franchise and that movie. So, um, like I said, Brie Larson knows where it's at. Hollywood, take notes. You got to listen because you're going to get left behind. And, I think eventually some of these video game studios are going to create movie studios and we'll take over the movie business.
Hmm. Hmm. Can you imagine video game studios creating movies, maybe their own adaptations? But can you imagine you have like an audience vote for a storyline and it
That'd be
depicts
cool.
which direction your film goes? That'd be
Yeah.
crazy. Sucks for the people that don't win those votes though. But
Yeah.
would be pretty interesting to see how they do it. Obviously, video game production very pricey thing to accomplish these
Mhm.
days with expectations and you know how expensive it is to develop really anything with tech.
Yeah.
So you know production value could certainly be there. I feel like
Yeah.
with a lot of these things and yeah, would be great. Do you have pretty? I mean, I've seen the previews of the new Super Mario coming out. Looks awesome. Pretty high hopes for a sequel with Mario.
Yeah. I'm just curious what they'll do with like Star
Hmm.
Fox and the other secret cameos we may see because I think it's going to lead up to a Super Smash type film. It might lead up to a
Yep.
independent Star Fox. I know the actor doing Luigi's voice wants to do a Luigi's Mansion movie, which I think would be pretty
That'd be
awesome. 'Cause
sweet.
that's an awesome game as well.
Yeah,
Um,
awesome game.
But like I say, I think depending on how they end it, if you bring out Kirby, a Kirby movie would be great. Uh,
Hmm.
Zelda, they're already doing Zelda, not in a cartoon version like Mario, but live action. But we've seen it already, live action and animation coming together. It'll be a cool way to, bring a Super Smash Bros.
For sure. I think you're really subtly hinting here, John. Stay the extra 5 minutes through the credits, see what
Yeah,
is at the
I,
end,
I I'm
because we'll
thinking,
get a hint.
I'm thinking. So I'll be saying the whole time.
For sure. No, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited.
yeah,
You know, that's definitely going to be one I try to get out to see. Took my son Theo to see Hoppers. We enjoyed that one. Speaking of movies,
I've heard a
Hoppers
lot of
was a
good
great
things.
little film.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
no, really liked it. Kiddo really liked it. That was a really fun one. I know a lot of people said about like the mental twist to it, kind
Okay.
of I don't know. Probably when it comes to, animals, everybody has, a very soft side for animals
Yeah.
versus humans and, the morphing of the two. I thought it was touching at times. Maybe not quite as, mentally breaking as what some were saying.
Yeah.
But still just a phenomenal
Yeah.
Pixar movie. And when I go in to see a Pixar movie, I kind of expect nothing less, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. They always do
Yeah.
such a good job.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I'm curious about watching
Mhm.
that when I get a chance because I've heard a lot of good things and like I say, animation movies, they're here to stay. They make big impacts in the world and in the community and to lives. So it's one that's on
Oh,
my
yeah.
list to watch. But I was gonna ask video game adaptations to games. I know I think eventually they'll do a GTA. If you had to pick which
Mhm.
GTA a GTA to make into a movie or TV show, what would be your first choice?
Mhm. Ooh. San Andreas. I mean, I think that it would be really cool vibes with just the LA scene,
Uh-huh.
and kind of creating the storyline there. Obviously, you can kind of twist that into, the most recent GTA as well. Obviously, with
Mhm.
Los Santos, very similar. Very close second would probably be like a Vice City. I think
Yeah.
the Miami vibes are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think GTA 4 is probably the one I think would probably be the one I think they would adapt first, just because like you mentioned, has San Andreas, has a lot of story to what they did with the video game in general. When I think of Vice
Mhm.
City, I think Vice City would be great, but I think there's so many movies like so close to it already, like Scarface,
Yeah.
and they're making the
Mhm.
remake of Miami Vice, with Michael B. Jordan, I think Austin Butler.
Oh,
They're the two main
very cool.
characters. Hearing Tom Cruise is a bad guy in that one, the villain of the movie.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
I think it's
All
sort
right.
of hard to do like a Vice City because there's so many other type of movies you can make related to Vice City. So
Mhm.
I don't think they would do that GTA version unless it's Vice City. Like the surprise when the trailer comes out, it's gonna be GTA Vice City. You know, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Speaking of GTA, it makes a lot of sense. I think a GTA movie would be pretty sweet.
Yeah,
The Have you seen the NBA 2K collab with GTA? Any
yeah,
thoughts on that?
yeah. Seen a bit of it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess kind of news kind of broke on that a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
I took advantage of the free download of 2K26.
Yeah.
Uh, have played OKC and won by 100 purposefully. Good times.
Yeah.
Um, but interesting how they could intertwine the two. And then I'm just thinking about like, this poor PS5 getting just burned to shit with how much space that's going to take up because man,
Yeah.
morphing 2K with GTA with the map size is going to be
It's gonna
crazy.
be insane. But I think that
Yeah.
could be a reason of the big delay because we should have had it by
Mm.
now. Everybody,
Oh yeah.
that I seen a lot of things that people, we remember when it was first announced that it was gonna come out. Everybody's like, okay, we're gonna plan it perfectly, have a kid to be able to take maternity leave, baby bonding time to be able to play it. People are
Yep.
trying to get creative with other things right now, trying to find ways to prep for. Is it November? Is that still the date?
November. Yeah, and it
November?
seems pretty official now. They've
Yeah.
posted it on PS5, and I think you can start reserving your
Okay.
download soon.
Okay. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's like people are starting to work. You got to start prepping now to be ready for November. Anything that happens. So yeah, we'll see what GTA does because I think that's probably the most anticipated game in the history. I think of video games for quite a bit.
Completely agree. Yeah, I mean, if the amount of fake spoilers and AI adaptations
Yeah,
that we've seen of what people think it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be outrageous. It's going to
yeah,
be insane. And so what you want, you can say that, you don't want it anymore. When it comes out, you're going to want it because right now in my opinion, there's not much competition
yeah,
for what it's going to be.
yeah, yeah. I've seen the uptick in Halo 3. Have you seen that? People playing it a bit
No,
more.
no more.
Yeah.
That's cool. I
Yeah,
like that.
I think the custom games. I shout out the Burnt Peanut because he streams it right
Mm,
now too. So, but I
okay.
think that's sort of like I say a little off topic with what our banter take was. But what was so good about video games in the past? It was keep it simple. Don't make it complicated. Just like what we've talked about with Modern Warfare. The past a lot better. Everything they've done right now, all these features suck.
Yeah, it always reminds me. You had a great take on it, John. Crack me up. Was get 5 kills with this shotgun in order to unlock a sniper scope. It's like
Yeah,
what? you know,
yeah.
do
It's
15 flashbangs, blinding the enemy and unlock a kill streak. It's like
yeah.
Huh? Like, how's it relevant? It's
Yeah.
just so stupid. And then you're
Yeah.
spending more time on the freaking customizable menu.
Yeah.
When honestly, we want anybody wants worry about your gameplay, then keep perks simple. That's what
Yeah.
COD 4 and Modern Warfare 2 were so awesome at. They
Yeah.
worried about the gameplay.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of these newer games coming out, these indie games are doing. They're keeping it simple to what people are asking
Mhm.
for, and they're providing what the gaming community is asking and wants, and it's going to be a hit. So, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You said it. Gaming community is one of the biggest communities out there. They're dedicated to games, franchises, systems, and if you make movies about it, we're all going to go out to see it.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great take. Brie
Yeah.
Larson. You're onto something. I think we're in agreement.
Yeah.